Alright, first off, let's be real here. I'm not your average poker vlogger. I'm not some 22-year-old kid chasing bracelets or splashing around on Hustler Casino with 6 figures in front of me. I'm a full-time dad with 3 kids, a dog, and a wife. I drive a minivan for crying out loud. Finding time to play a few sessions a month is already tough. Forget chasing some fantasy of grinding cards full-time. Honestly, it's a grind just trying to find time to grind.
Help me! Help me!
But here's the thing. I wasn't always the minivan guy. I was sneaking into casinos at 16 and tearing up the felt.
McLovin? McLovin?
I lived on Full Tilt and Poker Stars before Black Friday pulled the plug on every poker dreamer in America. Now my kids hear Black Friday and they think it's about cheap TVs at Walmart. But meanwhile, that was the day half my bankroll disappeared into the internet void.
Gotcha, bitch!
I've made some serious money playing cards. But life, it had other plans. Now here I am, almost 39, a little older, a little grayer, and way more responsible.
Psych!
At least on paper.
Julian!
I don't get to grind every day anymore. The wife apparently has an issue with that. But the itch to play never goes away. And I play because I love this game. And that's why for my first official minivan poker vlog, I packed up and flew solo to Austin, Texas, where my goal for this trip was simple. Make $3,000 over the next 3 days as the first step towards the bigger challenge. $10,000 profit in the next 3 months. This is me dusting off the old skills, trying to relive a little of that Full Tilt fire. Except now instead of red pros, I'm battling dudes in hoodies who weren't even born when I was sneaking into casinos. Episode 1 starts now. So we leave the house basically unharmed other than running a little late because we had to pick up 2 piles of diarrhea shit from the puppy. Welcome to family life. But now we're in the clear. Off to Austin, baby. So we just landed in Austin, Texas. It is approximately 10 a.m. So that means our Airbnb is not ready until 4. So what I think we're gonna do is we are going to stop at the bank and get some cash for tonight, get some grub, and then our Airbnb is right between TCH Social and the Lodge. I think we'll hit the Lodge first and just play some cards till our Airbnb is ready. So see you guys there. Why is there a bird in this airport? What the fuck? We got some money from the bank and stopped at this place called Finley's. The outside patio looked awesome, so I decided to try it. But once I got inside, it seemed a little too uppity to me. Got a chicken quesadilla and a beer, but the food was just okay. Should have sat outside. 5.5 out of 10 stars. Not the greatest experience. So we just took out $3,000 at Wells Fargo. The plan is to play 2-5 if a table opens up. If we can't get on the 2-5 table, then we'll play 1-2. I know Texas poker's crazy. 1-2 almost plays like a 2-5. But the goal today is to win 2 buy-ins. So that's what we're gonna do with either one we play. Let's see if we can run it up. So we got to the Lodge around noon and it was my first time playing here. They had a lot of 1-2 games going, but they just happened to open a 1-3 when I got there, so I hopped in that right away. The max buy-in was $1,500, which surprised me a little bit with it being so high, but definitely was not mad about it. Texas poker, let's go.
It's showtime!
Alright, so the first hand we get to play is Ace-10 of diamonds. We are in the cutoff, everyone folds to us, and we raise it up to 15. Button calls, and so does the big blind. Flop comes out 10-King-9 rainbow, which is a pretty wet flop 3-way with a raise. Big blind checks, so I decide to also check. Button checks. Turn is the king of spades.
Oh yeah!
Which is a great card for us because that means there's less kings in the deck. Big blind checks. I decide to throw out a half pot bet of $20. Button calls and the big blind folds. We go heads up to the river. River is a 6 of diamonds, which is a dud. At this point, I feel like I'm pretty good since we didn't get raised on the turn. I decide to bet 30. Button just calls, so at this point I know we're good. We flip it over confidently, and then the button shows us King 8 of diamonds for 3 of a kind. Really was not expecting that. Not a very good start when you think you're ahead the whole time and end up losing the pot, but we move on. After losing with Ace-10, we then get Ace-King 3 out of the next 6 hands. Unfortunately, we only win 2 small pots with these hands. We're trying to build these pots to get big with these monsters that we're picking up because we're finally heating up, but unfortunately the pots just stay small. We finally then get involved in a big pot playing a double board bomb pot. For those of you that don't know, Omaha bomb pots are played every dealer change at the lodge, where everyone antes $10 and then it goes straight into 2 board flops. And then we play Omaha off both boards. We start with an ugly hand of 6, 8, 10 jack, with the 10 jack being in diamonds. We go to a flop of ace queen 7 2 hearts and 7 8 queen with 2 spades. Nothing special for us, and luckily the boards get checked through. But when the turns come, things get a little interesting. The 8 of diamond hits on the top board and the 9 of diamonds on the bottom. That gives us the nuts on the bottom with an open-ended straight flush draw, but one of our outs to the straight flush is on the top board. On the top board we have a pair plus a flush draw now, so I'm feeling pretty good about taking down half this pot at least. Under the gun leads out for 90, one other calls, and we call for 90 on the button. We then go to the rivers, which are the 8 of spades and jack of clubs. We improved to trips on the top, but unfortunately king 10 is now the nuts on the bottom. It checks to us on the river, and now we have a decision to make. I still feel like our 10 jack is good on the bottom, as king 10 would have bet out, but we could be chopping on the bottom with someone and get quartered. After thinking about it for a second, I drop in a $200 bet, which is about half pot. Looking back, I wish I would have went a little bit bigger to put pressure on mediocre hands, but in the end, they both end up tanking for a while and both end up folding. We take down this $360 pot and are finally stacking some decent chips. A few hands later, we look down at ace queen suited. Let's go. There is a straddle on and a limper in front of us. We decide to raise it up to 25. Everyone folds, the straddle calls, and the limper calls. We go to a flop of ace 8 3 rainbow. Bink, let's go. Let's build this pot up and take down a big one.
Let him.
Straddle checks, under the gun player checks, comes to me. I bet 40, hoping to start building this pot a little bit, and both players instantly fold.
What the hell's going on out here?
This is not what Texas poker is supposed to be about. Where are these giant pots at? After taking down a couple small pots with ace jack and ace king, I then wake up with 2 black aces in the big blind. Let's go. Time to make some money. Under the gun plus 2 raises to 15. Low jack calls 15. Button calls 15. Small blind calls 15.
All of a sudden, the price of poker just went up.
All right, time to raise it up, boys. 75 bucks to go. Under the gun plus 2 then 4 bets us to $215, which sounds really great at the time, but it kills all of our action behind us, and he only has 240 left behind him.
All in, yeah, the rest of it.
We 5-bet shove for the rest of his stack. He calls. Now we're off to 1 time on the flop. I flash the aces to him. I'm not gonna slow roll him. I want to put him out of his misery. Flop comes 8-5 ace all diamonds.
One diamond. One diamond.
Jack of hearts on the turn, 9 of clubs on the river. He had 2 red queens, so we dodged a diamond and took down that $525 pot. Could have been better, could have been worse. You can't really complain. After going card dead for about an hour after that, we then wake up to 2 10s. We're under the gun and we raise it up to 15. UTG plus 1 folds, and then UTG 2 then 3 bets us to $65. Everyone else at the table folds and it comes back around to us and we make the call. Flop comes 5 of hearts, 2 of clubs, 4 of spades, which is a good flop for us. We check the flop and under the gun plus 2 then bets $40. I think this is a very good spot where we should be raising to kind of check where we are. In the moment, I decide just to smooth call and try to play a turn.
Are you scared, Marv? Are you afraid?
Turn comes the 6 of hearts. I then again check, then under the gun plus 2, then checks behind and slows down. At this point, I'm pretty sure we're ahead. River comes the ace of clubs. Man, what an ugly card. I check it, he checks behind, he shows us ace king. I don't know if I would have checked that ace king out. I wouldn't for a little value. If I was him, he must have thought we were slow playing or we were open-ended on the flop. I'm not sure what he was thinking, but I think you need to get some value there with ace king. I don't know, maybe we're just playing too tight and he's scared of us, but we end up losing that $214 pot and we move on. Now we play a fun little pot with queen jack off and the low jack. We have a limper under the gun and we raise it up to 15. Everyone folds except the small blind and under the gun. We then go to a flop of 10-5-9 rainbow. Small blind donk bets 10 bucks and under the gun calls the $10. This is kind of an interesting spot with me being the pre-flop aggressor. 2 overs and open-ended, I decide to raise it up to 40 bucks. Small blind makes the call and then under the gun folds. The turn is the 7 of hearts, and once again, which is really weird, the small blind donks into us for 25.
Come on, man, what the fuck is you doing, cuz?
I could have got really aggressive here and tried representing a huge hand, but instead in the moment I just slow down and I make the call because donking into us twice is kind of a weird line. Now the river is the 8 of spades, which gives us the nuts. Let's go. Once again, the small blind donks into us for 40. Here, I decide what my raise is going to be. I'm not really sure, and I'm kind of kicking myself in the ass watching this back. I only raise it to 140, which is very small. I should have went something like 350. We should have almost potted this thing.
What are you?
An idiot sandwich.
And it was really dumb in the moment. Looking back, definitely could have got a lot more value here. He ends up making the call. We take down a $468 pot, which obviously is a good thing, but in my opinion, we should have bet a lot more on the river. After about another hour of being card dead, we then look down at 2 black aces again. Let's go. We end up only winning a small pot again. Then we look down at 2 kings. All right, let's make some money. Once again, only a small pot.
Are you serious right now?
Now, I'm complaining about these small pots with these big pairs and big hands, but the thing is you can lose a lot of money with these hands too, so beggars can't be choosers. At least we're making some money on these, and our stack isn't getting crippled by losing with monsters. We then play our next big hand of the night. We look down an ace queen off in the hijack. There's a straddle at 10 bucks, middle position calls, and we 3-bet to 40. Everyone around the table folds except the straddle and the middle position. We then go to a flop of 9-4 ace 2 hearts. Straddle then donk bets for $89 and is all in. Middle position then makes the call. So now I'm here stuck with a decision. Do I just smooth call here or do I make the raise? In the moment I decide to raise it up to 300 bucks. Try putting some pressure on middle position, and he thinks about it for a bit and then ultimately folds. We decide to run it once. Run out comes ace of diamonds and queen of hearts to give us a boat on the river. Straddle shows us 8-9 of hearts, so he actually made his flush. He had a pair plus a flush draw, made his flush, but unfortunately for him, we boated up and we are taking down that $391 pot.
You like that? You like that?
Now we're off to the biggest pot of the night, which I feel like I kind of played dumb on the river. But it's another bomb pot. We have ace 4-10 with the ace 10 of clubs. Decent hand for Omaha. We go to the 2 flops of ace 8-2 with 2 hearts and king 3-8 with 2 clubs. We're under the gun with the nuts on the top and the nut flush draw on the bottom. So we lead out for $50, which is basically half the pot. We get 3 callers and then we head to the turn. The turn gives us the 4 of hearts and 2 of spades.
Fuck! 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 Oh!
The nuts on the top now disappears, and now we're drawing to a club or 5 on the bottom to try winning the bottom. So a great hand just kind of went to crap really fast. The turn really hurt us, and being out of position, we decide to check. The cutoff then bets $290. The button makes the call, and with the size of this pot, I don't think we can fold with all of our draws. We also make the call. We lose a middle player and we're going 3 ways to a river. On the river, we get the king of spades, and on the bottom, we bank the 7 of clubs for the nuts. Let's go.
We are back, baby. We are back!
We have half this pot locked up with possibly scooping, but for some reason, I decide to check and flow, which we should have been leading out here, especially with the cap like the Lodge has on their bomb pots at $1,000. We also have the nut blocker in our hand with the ace of hearts, so I don't know what the hell I was thinking not potting this right on the river. Just a very dumb move on my part. At this point I had a few drinks and maybe that played a part in it.
I drank in excess.
Luckily for us, the cutoff then pots it, which was figured out to be $660. The button unfortunately folds, and we snap call knowing that we have half the pot.
He ends up showing us a medium-sized flush on top, and we end up chopping this $2,500 pot. Look, you guys, I should have instantly potted this thing because he would have maybe folded on the river because that flush wasn't that high, and we could have possibly scooped that whole entire thing. Instead, we end up making $405 in actual profit. A mistake on our end, but we'll take it. At this point, we have grinded our stack up to over $2,700, which is a little over $1,200 in profit. Not a lot of huge pots, but we're definitely catching hands and making the best of our situations for the most part. The next hand we look down at is 9-10 of clubs. We're in the cutoff and there's a $10 straddle on. Low jack decides to limp, high jack also limps, and we decide to raise it to $60. Everyone folds around to the low jack, which calls for 60, and we go heads up to the flop. We look at a flop of jack 6-10 rainbow. Low jack checks, and we bet out a C bet of $40 with second pair. Low jack makes the call. We then go to the turn, which is the 3 of hearts. Low jack checks. This is a pretty draw heavy board, and we've been playing super tight all night. The 3 I didn't feel like was going to really do anything for him unless he had hearts. I decided to get aggressive here for the first time, really bluffing, and bet 220, a pretty big bet on the turn.
He's bluffing. Go all in.
Surprisingly, low jack makes the call.
Oh shit, not good.
We're a little worried when we head to the river. With only having second pair and a medium kicker, we don't really have any backdoor draws, so basically there's not a lot of good cards that are going to come for us on the river. Except this one, and it is the Jack of Diamonds, which is probably the best card that could have hit, other than a 10 obviously. None of the draws get there, way less chance of them holding a jack. Low jack checks. Instead of going for value here, I don't think anything's going to call with less than we have. We just check with our pair, and luckily we take down that $664 pot with just a pair of 10s. Now we're on to by far the most interesting hand of the night. I'm in the low jack with jack 10 of clubs, and the straddle is on. Under the gun limps, so I decide to make it 50 in the low jack. Big blind calls, straddle calls, and under the gun also calls. So now we're going to a roughly $200 pot 4 ways. The flop comes King 9-7 rainbow, which gives us a double gutter. Any queen or 8's gonna give us a straight. Big blind checks, straddle donks out for 50, under the gun gets out of the way, and I decide to raise to 150. At this point, my table image is super tight, super clean, and this board smacks my range all day long. The big blind folds, and the straddle decides to make the call. Now we're going heads up to the turn, which is the 3 of clubs.
Wow, it's very nice.
Bang, baby, more outs, let's go. The straddle checks, and now I fire 275 to keep the pressure on. I'm feeling like we're about to take this down right here until the straddle grabs a skyscraper of green chips and slides them in the middle, announcing a raise to $800.
No, don't like that.
Shit, I was not expecting that. Now it's 525 more to me, and I kind of get put in the blender here. He's been playing pretty damn tight for the most part, and has shown up with the nuts almost every time he makes big bets like this. I'm trying to calculate my outs and odds moving forward, but my mind is kind of all over the place. I just really didn't feel good about it, to be honest. What would he do this with? At the table, I'm thinking I have around 17 outs and need roughly 35% equity to call, but in the moment, my gut's telling me just to let it go. I wasn't even sure if my clubs were really good in the moment, so I decided to take the disciplined route and fold.
You pussy.
He ends up flashing 2 7s for a set, including the 7 of clubs. So after thinking about it later, I realized my clubs had to be good with him donking out, as any ace-x or queen-x of clubs would not have done that on that board. So once I did the math after the hand, I had about 28 to 29% equity. I only needed 25% to make the call, so technically folding was a huge mistake. Now it wasn't a huge punt, but it definitely was a fold that left money on the table. Now a few hands later, the dealer whispered in my ear that the 5 of diamonds would have hit and I would have missed. So it feels good to know that my gut was right, but definitely a play that's gonna cost me money in the long run if I keep on folding with positive equity. So now we reach the last hand of the night. We've been playing for approximately 13 hours. It's been a really long session, and the vacation drinks have definitely been settling in. I decide to raise with ace-8 suited under the gun to $30. Everyone folds except the big blind, which is my buddy Jordy. We've been talking all night. We basically became friends. And he 3-bets me to $105. He's definitely a solid player. I should know better than to call this, but I wanted to give him a little action. I had a good feeling about this hand.
You want to know your future? How'd you know? I know everything. How do you know that? Because I know.
I call for 105. The flop comes 2, 8, jack, 2 hearts, and Jordy leads out for $125. I tell him to take it easy. He doesn't know what he's getting himself into. Trying to basically say, let's control this pot. I don't want to take your money if I do hit. And we go to a turn. The turn is the 4 of clubs, which I miss. Jordy makes it a reasonable $225 bet. At this point, I know he has a really strong hand. I'm giving him action as I'm not gonna fold the ace high flush draw right now. I make the call.
I'm sorry, Kalani, but I'm not folding.
The river comes and it is the 10 of hearts. Oops. I bank it on him. He checks and I throw out a measly $200 bet and I can tell he's sick to his stomach. He reluctantly makes the call and he flips over trip jacks. He flopped the nuts on me. He had me the whole way and I really sucked out bad on him on that one. I throw him back $100 just because I felt so bad, but it ended up being a $1,300 pot that we scoop. It was the last big hand of the night. We ended up winning a few more small ones after this and we headed to cash out because we could barely keep our eyes open. So the final results were in for $1,500, out for $4,135. That means a profit of $2,635. Now what you didn't see here was all those little pots. $40, $60, $100 at a time. The boring hands that don't make the vlog, but definitely matter the most when you play a 13-hour session. That's the dad grind, man. Not many fireworks, just steady bricks. Now look it, I didn't play perfect by a long shot. I missed a ton of value. I got passive in spots. Maybe it was me just trying to get the rust off, but we almost hit our weekend goal in one night, so I'm not complaining. Now after cashing out, I grab an Uber. The driver's a veteran, great guy, tells me stories about his time overseas. We talk family, life, perspective. I end up tipping him $100 and hop out at the Airbnb feeling great. Finally home. Then I see the door. It's one of those smart locks that only opens with an app. I go to grab my phone, but there's nothing there. I pat all my pockets. Completely empty. Shit, my phone's still in the Uber. I turn just in time to see the Uber's taillights vanish into the dark. Now I'm standing in the middle of this gated condo complex. No key, no phone, no way to get a hold of the Uber, as I'm looking sketchy as fuck with over $5,000 cash in my pocket. What the hell am I gonna do? And that's when the real sweat begins.